If you want to learn more about DAOs on the blockchain, keep on watching this episode.
We back. We black.
Yes, we are black and back. Both East Coast natives living in California. He's in LA. I'm in San Diego. Two somethings in a pod.
If you came for serious shit, and if you came to be educated, you came to the wrong fucking place, buddy.
Only on the Dom Jackson Experience. DAOs, DAOs, Decentralized Autonomous Organizations.
What are these? What is that? I'm hearing it. I've been hearing it.
So to explain what a DAO is, decentralized organization, you definitely want to first explain what a smart contract is, because the smart contract is the biggest component that kind of makes DAOs a DAO. Mm-hmm. And a smart contract is basically coding a coding contract, and what that coding does, it is if this then that. So if one thing happens, then something else will happen. But if that first thing doesn't happen, the second thing will not happen. If I gave Ozzy 5 Ethereum, and the contract would be, if I gave Ozzy 5 Ethereum, he would give me 2 pizzas. So if I didn't give him the 2 Ethereum, the 5 Ethereum, I wouldn't get anything, and if vice versa. So like if we did not have the coding would know what things were supposed to be completed, and if they are completed or not completed, the contract would only activate if that happened.
Yes, correct. So, and then the major thing is what's different between, like, how does it, what, 2 things, like, where does that trust come from? Like, how are you able to trust that person? Do you need to trust that person? And then the other thing is there is no one main body, again, with this whole decentralized nature of the blockchain. There is no one main body or intermediary that's a human being or entity that can tell you that this transaction can or cannot go through, or this contract can or cannot be executed. So the code is the middleman, technically. The code is, nothing can happen if the code does not think that the first thing happened, as Dom explained, right? The code is the end all be all. The code is also, again, because it's on the blockchain, it's verifiable, so that makes it tamper proof. Again, but let's just always want to make sure we tell people that because everything is so new, there is stuff that happens where DAOs do get hacked, but it's never due to what's necessarily on the contract, but more about the holes that, let's call it what it is, the holes that the coders or programmers left inside of the code itself. So
Yes. So the contract as a whole is a if this then that, the same way any other contract would be with some kind of 2 business or 2 entities. Somebody's going to do one thing, someone else do something else. But as opposed to having a lawyer and a legal team back that up and control all of it, it's just code. It's just code that is verifiable on the blockchain, and you can see it publicly. So that's why smart contracts are the base of everything. Now going into that now we can go into what a DAO is. And a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. And basically all that really means is that all the voting rights and the deciding what things are done are not based centrally. They're based on everyone else around it. So it's not, so as opposed to having a company with like the board or a CEO making all the rules, like the big boss making all the rules, all the people that are involved in it, like the fans or employees, will make all the rules instead. So with a DAO, you are in a so for the example we're going to use, because that makes it explain a little bit better, if Ozzy and I decided to make a DAO for the 2 Somethings show, so we had a 2 Somethings show coming out, and we had a smart contract that said, you know, if so many votes happen for A, then this path of the story will happen. If so many votes happen for B, then this path of the story will happen. So the contract would have that information, everything set up on the contract. Now, the people that were fans of the show could buy coins. You would buy the coins, and the coins would allow you to vote on which way you would go. So fans of the show, hey, I bought this many coins, I can cast this many votes. So let's say path A, the some things go to the zoo, and path B, the some things go to Toronto.
That's
a wild gap, but
yeah, that's crazy.
But everyone who is watching the show would have a chance to buy the coins, the something coins, and with those coins, they can then use that coin to cast a vote for which way each thing would go, make each decision. So whatever that number would be, the smart contract would know from how it was programmed to know which path we would go based on their votes. So your votes are being casted in. So it's a lot more similar to how a democracy is supposed to be run, like, or a board run things, because as opposed to having, someone at the top saying, I'm the big boss, blah, 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 all the people that are involved in it, that are invested in it by buying these coins, have all the control. And it could be anybody all across the world, because, anyone who can get these coins, has access to it, has an ability to vote, cast vote, and propose things.
For sure. And something we should mention is that not all DAOs are created equal. And when I say that, I mean to say not all DAOs are the same. So there are some DAOs where, again, DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. So emphasis on the organization. There are some DAOs where there's a person at the top of the organization that is kind of moderating. There's a person at the top that is moderating everything, but they aren't necessarily the end all be all. And the reason why there's organizations like that is so that there's not like straight up like anarchy, right? And then like Dom mentioned, most of the time the DAOs will give the voting members options, so it's not just like a free for all. And then there's some DAOs where there is a free for all, where it's just like, just suggest something and then the community will vote on it, and then we'll see if the community wants it, the community will say that they want it, right? But you got to, like, especially for a person like, let's just say us, and let's say that, when we do get big and we have our DAO, would we want the community to have full control over everything that we do without giving them some type of guidance? I don't know, but that the fact that that's even possible and it's executable through code is really, really cool. And it I think it allows for two things. It allows for people to feel more involved in a project, so it gives the project more value a lot of the times. Yep. And then it allows them to be more invested into it as well. So it's like, if you could imagine if you had a board seat on Apple and you got to decide what the next iPhone bezel design would be, or something small like that, or even something as big as, should we release iPhone 15 or should we release iPhone 15.5 or whatever. That would be really cool. And I'm sure somewhere down the line, there's going to be big organizations that are going to allow for that type of capability. Yeah. And that way they'll also be able to kind of like predict sales too, where it's like, we see this many people are invested into it. Like we should definitely do it,
Yes. I think another cool thing that I thought about too was that because the company example makes a lot of sense. That's kind of already how companies are run, as far as the board making all decisions for things. But instead, the board is now anybody who has access to the tokens, which is super cool, because now, like, you and me can have a chance to do it. Just make sure you have enough funds to get enough tokens to have enough power, but there's more access to it than did before. Another thing I was thinking about that is super relatable now. Like, if you're an artist, a musician, like you tour and you have a DAO, and you can now all your fans in your DAO can use the DAO to pick what cities you tour in. Like, imagine that. That's like a great concept to kind of have exact input of the people who actually care the most about something, to do it, to make the choices, and then they can just vote on. They can vote to make the decisions on what things happen within the tour dates, or where that tour would be. But there's a lot of great opportunities with this, and with smart contracts being, basically publicly seen, untamperable. I don't know if that's a word, untamperable, unfuckwittable. There's a lot of great upside to what DAOs are capable of long term.